Okay, welcome back to my 32 and 32. I'm now going to continue with the San Jose Sharks. And like I do with all my videos, I like to display the home jersey and the reverse retro. And for this one, I'm not a big fan of it. Again, I don't rate jerseys from 0 to 10, but this is pretty much down to a 0. I respect that they have the light blue colors, almost greenish color, and the yellow. This is a throwback to when the next 6 teams came in the National Hockey League back in 1967. They had the California Seals. And if you read on the shirt where it says Sharks, where the S, how the S is shaped, and pretty much how all the letters are shaped, or how the word seals were spelt on the jerseys back then. So it's interesting, but again, it just doesn't do it for me. Yeah, I'm not a fan of this reverse retro at all. That's all I got to really say about that. Anyway, so getting on to some of the signings that the Sharks have done during the offseason. They brought back Ryan Carpenter, who was part of that Sharks team back in the mid 2010s. He last played for the Rangers just a season ago, so it's kind of a reunion of sorts. Giovanni Smith has been signed to the roster by the Panthers. From the Panthers, I do apologize, on a 2-year contract. And I should also mention that Carpenter signed for a 1-year deal. And then there are a few other signings, but defenseman Kyle Burrows from the Vancouver Canucks has made his way over, and he has now signed for 3 years. So he'll be in the Sunshine State for many, many moons to come. So we'll take a look at the rosters from last year. And again, like I do with all of them, I'll take a look and see who has re-signed, who has yet to sign, or who has signed elsewhere. Take a look at their goaltending situation. So to back this up a hair. Okay. So as you can see, James Reimer, he is no longer a member of the Sharks. He is signed with the Detroit Red Wings. And their other goaltender, Capo Kakinen, has 1 more left to go on his contract. Now, during the offseason, they did make a trade with the New Jersey Devils for Mackenzie Blackwood, and he has actually signed for 2 years. So between Mackenzie Blackwood and Capo Kakinen, that should be the goaltending tandem for the Sharks this upcoming season. Okay, so starting from the top, Andrew Agazina has 1 more year left to go on his contract, as does Alexander Barbanov. Matt Benning has 3 more years left to go on his deal. The captain, Logan Couture, has 4 more years left to go on his contract. Mario Ferrero has 3 more years left to go on his deal. Jonah Gadjevich, and I'm pretty sure I have it right about here, is still a free agent. Noah Gregor is also still a free agent. Another player who is on a long-term contract is Thomas Hertl. He has 7 more years left to go on his deal. Andreas Johansson, I do apologize, has signed with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Erik Karlsson was traded during the offseason to the Pittsburgh Penguins, so he is no longer a member of said team. Martin Cote, he is still a free agent as well. Luke Kunin has 1 more left to go on his contract. Kevin Labanc has 1 more left to go on his deal as well. As does Oscar Lindblom, has 1 more left to go on his deal as well. So does Stephen Lawrence. Still has another year left to go on his contract. As does Jacob McDonald. You know what? I should just start doing years left and just going down from there, because clearly I've said the same thing for the past 5 players. Now, Marcus Nutevara, he is still a free agent. Jacob Peterson has been re-signed on an extension for 1 more year. Radim Simic has 1 more left to go on his contract. Nico Sturm has 2 more years left to go on his deal. Evgeny Svechnikov is still a free agent, so I'm sure at some point he'll be picked up by someone. Henry Thurn has 1 more left to go on his deal. Jeffrey Vial has left San Jose and has joined the Winnipeg Jets. And Mark-Edward Vlasic has 3 more years left to go on his contract. Last but not least, Fabian Zetterlund has re-signed on a 2-year contract, so he'll be sticking around with the Sharks for at least 2 more years, pending a trade. So I'll get back to the main menu, pull up their logos, and discuss their future. So let's make sure that's somewhat focused. Okay, so coming into the 2023-2024 campaign, I believe the Sharks are going to finish in the bottom four of that division yet again. They are clearly in a rebuild after trading away all their assets over the seasons or had contracts expire and didn't bring anyone back. As I mentioned just previously, that Erik Karlsson, the big defenseman, was traded during the offseason. Now, for me, for the Sharks, in order to make a full rebuild, you have to try to give away maybe one, if not both, of your stars. That's Logan Couture, your captain, and obviously Thomas Hertl as well. Those contracts are really going to hurt the Sharks moving forward, especially if they want to compete in the future. You have to try to ditch one of those guys. I know it's going to suck because they've been there for a long time and they're the longest tenured Sharks on your team as of now. But yeah, if you're going to make a full rebuild, you got to try and do something with those contracts, whether you add a third team in a trade, or if another team has the cap space to get both those guys under their cap. That's the only way that this team can fully move forward. Because if you try to rebuild around these two guys, they're not getting any younger, and at some point they're going to want out. So, like I said, the Sharks are still in rebuild mode, but it's going to be tough with both of those contracts for Couture and Hertl, considering they're not only what they're getting paid, but the extension of their contract as well is what could really hurt them moving forward. So, my bold prediction: the Sharks will miss the postseason for the fourth straight season, and who knows? Maybe at some point they will be competitive again, but rebuild takes time. There's no question about it. Thank you all for tuning in. If you like hockey videos, I tend to do them on the daily, so feel free to hit that sub button below. And as always, take care.